Hello, hello, and welcome back to No One Is Coming. The Answer Is You, your personal development podcast, the one that gives you the responsibility for your life. And today we're diving into a topic that I love, I personally love. I've experienced a lot in my life. I do, and so do my clients. It is spiraling into negativity. How does that happen? What does that have to do with the three principles? What are the three principles? All that and more in this upcoming podcast you don't want to miss if you've ever experienced a situation where you're spiraling down the tunnel of negativity and you don't know how to stop. This one's for you. Now let's dive in.
In a world where we often find ourselves waiting for someone to come and save us, it's time to embrace one powerful truth. I hate to tell you this, but no one is coming. The answer is you. Welcome to the podcast that empowers you to take charge of your life and unleash your true potential. I'm your host, Ofri Fuchs, and I'm thrilled to embark on this transformative journey with you. So, if you're ready to embark on a journey full of self-discovery, growth, and actually take responsibility for your life, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you're here. Now let's rock and roll.
So hello, and welcome back to yet another episode. We are on episode number 12 already. Amazing. Of my podcast, No One Is Coming. The Answer Is You, your personal development podcast. But more than a personal development podcast, this one is designed to help you take responsibility for your life, to be the king and queen of your life, to be the owners and the ones that set the tone and the stage for how your reality will be unfolding. And this episode is actually really special to me because it deals with something that's happening in the universe a lot, I find in my clients, and like I said in the beginning, from myself as well. But it's also something that it's quite the opposite. We feel like we don't have control over. And I'm here to serve and to help you see how much power you have versus how trapped you may think you are at times. Now, what am I talking about? Well, speaking of trapping, have you ever felt trapped in your thoughts, in the cycle of your thoughts? I'll share this. When I was younger, way younger, but a young adult, I had long episodes of depression. And if you know depression, this is not something to look lightly at or think lightly of. But when you're in depression, you really feel there's no way out. You're spiraling down the negative thoughts. You're feeling like there's no way out, like the doors are closing in, the walls are closing in, the doors are shutting on you. It's quite common. And actually, these days, now that there's so much social media and we're so exposed, quote unquote, exposed to the outside world, we've never been lonelier. So it's an incredibly lonely experience. It's an incredibly disheartening experience. But I'm here to tell you, I'm hoping that this episode will open your mind and open the opportunities and the thought that we can actually perceive our thoughts. And we don't have to be the victims of our thoughts. And the first thing we need to understand is that we are not our thoughts. We can actually take the power over them. And by owning our thoughts and taking responsibility for our thoughts, we can fundamentally change our reality. We can change the way we perceive things, and we can change our reality. So how did that sound? Good? That's something you'll be interested in? All right, so how do we do that? So today we're going to explore the three principles. The three principles is, I don't know if to call it a methodology. It's just truth. One of my, the people I learned from is Michael Neal. He's an amazing coach and mentor. And he studied this from Syd Banks. And Syd Banks was a Scottish, I call him a philosopher, but he wasn't. He was a welder. But he discovered what is the three principles? It's basically mind, consciousness, and thought. And basically, the mind, consciousness, and thoughts are the three pillars of who we are as human beings. And I'm not talking about on the physical level, on how do we control our lives? How do we control our beings? It all boils down to mind, consciousness, and thought. And we're going to dive into that and see how that exactly works and unfolds. So once we understand that, and this is, to me, I'm still learning this. From what I know from Michael Neal, he's still learning this, being 20 years in this. It's something that you keep coming back to and you keep looking at every time from a different depth and a different angle. But this is ultimately the way to understand how to control the negative spiral of thoughts, and hence the negative spirals of emotions, of negativity that can sometimes dominate our lives. I want to start with a brief introduction of who Syd Banks is. And again, I hope I don't do him injustice, but Syd Banks was a Scottish welder, like I said. He had a profound spiritual insight in the early 1970s. And this insight started to make him think and led him to articulate what he called the three principles: mind, consciousness, and thought. And what are they? What is the mind? The mind is like the computer. It is the universal intelligence behind life. So if you think of it as the box where everything happens, all our mental and spiritual activity. What is consciousness? Consciousness is like the tools. It's the ability that we have to bring in information into the box. So consciousness is our ability to be aware, right? Through consciousness, we wake up, we become conscious of whatever it is that we're experiencing, and we can be conscious of whatever it is that we're thinking. This is what brings thought to life. I can have a thought, but if I'm not conscious of a thought, if I don't bring in, I'm hungry, let's go to the fridge, if I'm not conscious of it, then it'll just pass by. We have thousands and tens of thousands of thoughts that pass us by. We're not conscious of them because they're in the unconscious. What I'm conscious to is what I will act upon. So we have the mind, the box, and we have the consciousness, which is the ability. Now the third pillar, the third element, the third principle is the thought. Thought is a power. It's a force. It's a creative agent. I'm not talking about a single thought. It's the thought, with, like Michael Neal says, with a capital T. This is the way we use to direct our experiences. And our thoughts are what shapes our reality. It's not the mind that shapes the reality. It's not the consciousness. Consciousness is passive. It's just absorbing information. But what changes our experience to the outside world is the thought. So once we understand these principles, we can see how we create our experiences. And if we're talking about negativity, our negative experiences, our negative thoughts, our negative emotions, and how to break free from them. So how do we start with spiraling down in the first place? How do we even get there? If you've heard my lectures and talks, sometimes I talk about the magnet spiral. But it often starts with a single negative thought. There's just one. It could actually be like not even negative, just a really passive, like I'm bored, or this is not interesting to me. Let's say you make a mistake at work. So you might think, oh, I can't believe I did it again. And that would be it. But then the following thought would be, oh, I'm so stupid for making this mistake again. That's a one level up, right? So you just took, I can't believe I did it again, to I'm so stupid. And this is where we start spiraling, because these thoughts can trigger a cascade of additional negative thoughts. Like, I can't believe I did it again. I can't do anything right. God, everyone thinks I'm so useless, so incompetent. Like, I'm going to get fired. I'm never going to succeed. like, I'm hopeless, I'm useless. You see how that happens? How quickly does that happen? In a millisecond. In a millisecond, we spiral down from, I just created a mistake, I can't believe I did it again, to, I'm worthless. So before you know it, you're caught up. You're caught up in a negative spiral. But if we go back to the 3 principles, according to the 3 principles, these thoughts are not inherently true or real, right? They're just thoughts. The fact that you made a mistake could be a fact, but everything else that came with it is just a thought. So our conscious brings these thoughts to life. We give them meaning and power. Now, where does the principle of mind come in? So if mind, like I said before, mind is the universal intelligence behind all life. That's the source where our thoughts and the energy, this is the mind is like the computer. So when we're caught into the negative spiral, we seem to forget that we have the access to deeper intelligence. And how does that happen? Let's say the deeper intelligence, the wisdom, is down below. But when the negative thoughts come, they cover it. So we're so consumed by our thoughts, we can't see that they're just like the mind is just preoccupied with something. He's preoccupied and we can't see the truth, which is our inner wisdom. In order to break free from the spiral, we need to reconnect with mind, not the thinking mind, with mind that has access to any and every truth. Because mind has all the information. So this mind has the understanding that a thought is I'm useless, but what is actually true is that I am limitless. I can do anything and everything. I just use consciousness to see that I made a mistake and to deduct from that I'm useless. But mind knows that I can do anything and everything. So the mind has the potential to remind us that we are more than just the small thoughts. And once we tap into this deep, deep intelligence, we can access clarity and true perspective. Now the third pillar, the third principle, is the consciousness. So consciousness is our ability to be aware of our thoughts, to be aware of our experiences. This is what brings our thoughts to life. Like I said, this is what gives them meaning. But when we're stuck in negativity, it's just because our consciousness is fixated on a negative thought. But consciousness is like a spotlight. It doesn't care where you point it. If you're fixated on a negative thought, that's what it'll show you. If you're fixated on a positive thought, that's what it'll show you. But when we become so absorbed in these thoughts, they feel like the reality. But it's fluid. We have the ability to shift our consciousness. Sometimes you say, oh, shift your thought. It's not shifting your thought. It's shifting the consciousness to look at a different perspective. To look at a different perspective, to be a certain person, will create a different thought. And how do we do that? So one powerful tool that we've talked about many times before in this podcast is mindfulness. Why? Because it cleans up the spiral. It just it breaks the spiral, clears the slate. And when we start practicing mindfulness, the first thing you do is you become aware of what thoughts are present. So the first thing you do is you can become aware of the negative thoughts, and then you start to detach from them. You just observe them as for what they are. Oh, this is interesting. I'm thinking that I'm worthless. I'm thinking that I'm useless. This judgment is happening over here. It's not me. This judgment is happening. And once I start practicing mindfulness, I can see from a distance my negative thoughts as just thoughts. It's not truth. Now, if you would like, we can try this together, for instance. And unless you're driving, don't do this if you're driving. But But if you close your eyes for a second and just take a few deep breaths in and just kind of scan your body and focus on the sensation of your breath and see where you are right now. Maybe there's noise around you. Maybe there's some uncomfortable sensations in your body where you're sitting. And just notice if there's any thoughts that are arising. Maybe are they judgment thoughts? Or they're like, this is silly, or I'm uncomfortable. And just simply observe them. They're like balloons or soap bubbles that appear, and you're just looking at them. Those soap bubbles are not you. Now with your next exhale, you can open your eyes slowly. And just see that little tiny exercise, how you can all of a sudden detach yourself from what's going on inside that sometimes we're so attached and connected to. When we explore thought, we can understand that thought is again, I said it before, a creative agent. So I'm talking about thought with a capital T, right? The big ability to think. Okay, the ability to have thoughts. It's not the ability to think, it's the ability to have thoughts. So this is a tool that really shapes our reality. It's a really powerful tool. All right? It's like the ability, I don't know if this is the right example, but I'm going to use it anyway. It's the ability to drive, but you can drive something very powerful or something very weak, but you have the ability to drive. Something very powerful will get you very far, very fast, very comfortably. But if you're using like a very old, beat up, I don't want to say the name of a car, but a beat up car that's been used and damaged, how far do you think you'll go? How fast do you think that you'll go? How comfortable do you think you'll be when you get there? So the thought with a capital T is just the way to get or not get to where we want to go. So when we're in a negative spiral, it's like driving that beat up car. We're using thoughts, small letter T, we're using negative thoughts in our way, and we're getting to a place we don't want to get to. We're not using the right equipment, the right car, the best. I don't know if it's right or wrong, but it's not the best possible tool to get to wherever we want to go. But here's the beauty of it. The beauty of thought is that it's flexible. And it's not like you're either taking the Rolls Royce or the best car or the beat up car. You're the owner of every possible car in the world, and you can make up cars. So you have the power. No one is coming. The answer is you. Yes, you. You're the car owner. You have the power to change your thoughts, to change the vehicle that you're using in order to get to where you want to go, in order to change your experience of reality of life. And how do we do that? I'm going to give you one technique. It's called cognitive, again, me and my English, cognitive restructuring. All right, so once we identify the negative thought, and we practice this in mindfulness, once we identify, we challenge them with something a bit more balanced, a bit more realistic. So if we're talking about, let's go back to the initial example of I'm a failure, I'll never succeed because I made this one little mistake at work. Can you challenge your thoughts by asking yourself, is this really true? Have I ever succeeded before? What evidence do I have that this is true, that I will never succeed? Do I have anything to support this? So you kind of like shake and question your belief. So once you question your negative thoughts, you can start seeing them as, well, maybe I can't really trust my thoughts. Maybe they're not as concrete. Maybe there's a different option in there. What else is true? What else is true is everybody makes mistakes. What else is true? I've made mistakes before and I've corrected them and I've cleaned up. What else is true? Through my mistakes, I grow and learn. What else is true? I'm stronger than having one mistake dictate the way my life is going to pan out. That's also true. So, and that's a better car to take you wherever you want to go. So now that we've kind of explored the 3 principles of mind, consciousness, and thought, if we put them into practice in a real life scenario, again, we'll take the being overwhelmed, being stressed at work, having negative thoughts swirling in your mind. I'm never going to meet the deadline, or, I'm falling behind. I'm failing at my job. Everyone is doing better than me. I'm not as good as, nobody sees me for my potential. Let's take a breath. First, pause and reconnect with mind. Okay, this is the most powerful force you can tap into. Take a deep breath and remind yourself that you're more than your thoughts. Like this noise that's going on in your head, it's just noise. It's like turning on the TV full blast and saying, why can't I hear my own head? It's because there's too much noise. Turn off the TV. You have access to deeper intelligence and to deeper wisdom and to deeper power inside you through this challenge, through this moment. So shift your consciousness. If you're having inner thoughts that are pulling you down, start becoming aware of them. Don't get caught up. This is like a current. Don't get caught up in the current. Just observe them, float. These are temporary. They're not ultimate truth. It's just temporary thought. And let's create space between you and these thoughts, between you and this perspective. And then start asking what else is true. What is more useful for me? What is more beneficial for me? Is there a new perspective I can look at? Is there a new experience I can have through this? Challenge your negative thoughts. Try to find a more balanced one. Like, I may be struggling right now. Like I said before, everyone struggles. I've met deadlines before. A struggle is not a failure, and so on and so forth. So remember, breaking free from a negative spiral, we all have negative spirals. We all have negative spirals. Every single person, I don't know a single person in the world, and if you look up like the most successful people in the world, they have and had and will have negative spirals. It's called being human. But breaking free, it's not about forcing yourself to think positive. It's not like being happy, happy, joy, joy all the time. It's about understanding like we're complex beings. This is the nature of thoughts. We get into fear mode. We get into stress mode. The negative thoughts are here to serve us. This is the nature of them, of thoughts. But we don't have to be controlled by them. So the tools, the principles, the 3 principles are just a tool to help you realize that there's more to life than whatever it is you think is going on right now. And we can navigate through the thoughts, navigate through the negativity to create a more empowering reality. And who can do that? That's right, just you. No one else is coming. The answer is you. You know what's going on in your mind. You know what you have access to. You're the one that can ask the questions. You're the one that has the answers. So whenever you're caught up in a negative spiral of emotions, of thoughts, just remember you're just caught up in a current. It's not the whole ocean. It's just a drop. It's just a wave. Let it flow by and focus on the next one or focus on the shore. I want to thank you. Thank you again for joining me in this episode. This was really, really tremendously important for me. It's one of the things that I keep on researching. I keep going back to. I love the tranquility and the peace of mind that it gives me whenever I'm surrounded by the 3 principles. It's just so empowering. So empowering and so powerful. The balance between the it's almost like physics and spirituality, and it's like people tell me, oh, I don't believe in this, I do believe in this. It's not about belief. It's like believing in gravity. It's just what is, and you can use it for your purposes and benefit or not. It's up to you, but it really is a tool to break free from negative spirals and creating a better sense of freedom. Freedom is what we're all about. So if you found this episode helpful for you today, please share this. Let someone else in on this little secret that we have and send it out to whoever might benefit from it. I love you. Don't forget to, if you can, leave a review whether you're watching on YouTube or Spotify, and we'll be here next time. Bye for now.